Welcome in, everybody. It is that time of year again. The crisp is in the air. Well, maybe not yet, but it is football season. We are just a couple weeks away, and yours truly is back on for the 8th season of the Coaches Corners with South Range football coaches. It all started with Dan Yeagley, and now entering his second year as the head honcho of the South Range Football Raiders. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time we bring in not only the head honcho, but one of my dearest friends in the world, ladies and gentlemen, David
What's up,
Rach.
buddy?
How we doing, friend?
Doing good, man. We got a scrimmage tonight, so
That's
excited for
not
that.
bad. Who
Yeah,
we got
right.
lined up tonight?
We're
Mogador.
going to Mogador. Yeah.
Okay. That is a team that 3 yards in a cloud of dust kind of
Yeah.
team. Typically, cut your knees off to spite your face.
Yeah.
When you're putting these scrimmages together, I know you've got one against West Branch next week.
Yeah.
Mogador seems to always be on the schedule, as is West Branch. Is it something like you see, like as me as an NFL fan, the Steelers always play the Panthers like every single year. Do you want to keep that consistency in those scrimmages year after year? And if so, why?
I mean, for me, the opponent is more important than the consistency. I think we're really lucky that our two scrimmage opponents are both great programs. And kind of selfishly for us, we get to see both extremes. So Mogador is going to show up and, they're going to run the ball and be really aggressive on defense. Both teams are real physical. And then with West Branch, you see a lot more spread stuff. And, generally speaking, they're a little bit structurally on defense different, I think, than what Mogador is. So, but the big thing is, they're two first class programs that are really well coached, and you're not going to have to worry about a lot of the chippy stuff that I think goes on at some scrimmages. So for me, that's the big thing. I just like that our kids are going to be tested physically, and they're going to see some really good skill players, and we're going to have to go with some really good coaches.
One of the things that I'm really interested in when you're looking at a scrimmage, because these parents go to the scrimmages, these first time coaches go to the scrimmages, they have expectations. They're going to see like a Friday night light atmosphere, and we're just going to watch basically preseason football. But it's a little bit different. Scrimmages, you can just work red zone stuff. You can
Yeah.
work stuff in the middle of the field. You're going to see whistles blowing with quarterbacks. Non-contact. They get out of the pocket a little bit. You'll see the whistles blowing sometimes. For you as a coach, knowing what you're going up against in some of these scrimmages, what are your expectations? What do you want to see? What are some of the wins that you can take away, and some of the things, the challenges that you can work on for those weeks leading up to week one?
Yeah, I think, both scrimmages kind of have their own unique purpose. For us in the first scrimmage, against Mogador tonight, I'm really trying to assess our guys in terms of physicality. Not as concerned with, how we do on a scoreboard that doesn't count. Or, we're just there's some guys that I think, some young guys that you want to see, how they're developing and how they match up against some varsity guys. I think you want to be able to see even our old guys. I want to see how they've grown over the offseason, how they're battling physically. You never quite know, when you're going against yourselves. It's just really hard, especially at a small school. I mean, we're blessed with the numbers that we have, but it's still really hard to get, varsity players matched up with varsity players in camp, and so tonight's our first chance to go against some varsity players that, we're unfamiliar with, just to see how our guys match up and who's doing well and, who needs some more work. And then the second one, I think, is a little bit more specific. So when we get to West Branch next week, that'll be a little bit more, I think, telling about how we are situationally. Not that we're still going to be, really running everything that we'd be running week one. But I think you start seeing. I want to see some guys really compete next week and be aware of situations and kind of see us start to play some complementary football.
When you look at your roster this year, last year, 2 years ago, the state championship run, you had 20 seniors. You have a step back from a standpoint of senior leadership, but the seniors that you did have were exceptional last year. Just didn't have as many. This year, you're back up with numbers again, 20, I think, from a senior class. Everybody talks about it. It's great to have this many seniors, but for you, what makes this class so great to have, and from a leadership standpoint and the expectations that the Raiders have this year going into the 2024 campaign?
Yeah, I think you start with the intangibles. I mean, those guys are all smart guys. They're all hard workers. They're a really tight knit unit. They're experienced, and then they know how to win. I think they're we said the other day, I think they're 42-3 in their high school career, which is crazy. But I think the big thing for them is they do a great job of leading, our underclassmen and trying to show them by example, what it takes. And again, they're a really cohesive group that's been together for a long time. They do a great job of leading us. And I think, part of it is, especially in the dog days, like right now we're in the middle of camp and we're just finishing up camp, and it's been long, it's been hard, it's been, it's brutal. So just those guys, I think, bring a sense of calming or leadership, to the young guys, and they understand, because so many of them played as sophomores, on the title team. They understand that they can't do it alone, and that they're going to have to get some help, and they're going to have to help, some of the younger guys to develop as quickly as possible. And so they've done a great job. They've done everything we've asked them to do. I think they represent us, in a positive light everywhere they go. I'm really proud of them, and I'm excited to see, what they can accomplish with the team that they're, really leading this year.
For you, last year being your first year as a head coach, what were your expectations? I know we're talking about expectations a lot, but
Yeah.
I don't know that anybody ever came up to you from a public eye or a media standpoint and said, hey, grade yourself on what you did last year. What were your kind of expectations for yourself going into your inaugural campaign as a head coach? How did you live up to that? What were some of the biggest challenges, and what were some of the biggest benefits of having some of the experiences that you've had leading up to that point?
Man, I don't know if I had time, to have expectations set last year. Not time, just I think I was so overwhelmed, I think, with the job and all that it entails, in my first year. And Coach Yeagley just did such a great job of making it look so easy that, as much as I had so much help in preparing for it, I guess I never really had any kind of expectations other than trying to just make sure that I was doing the best I could in that moment. Looking back or reflecting on year one, there's some things that I feel like, I did an okay job of. And then there's some things that, I kind of keep notes and say, hey, I got to do a better job of this, going into next year. And, I think no matter what you're trying to do or what your profession is, I think it helps if you're, kind of self-assessing and saying, hey, being honest with yourself. I tell our kids all the time, you got to judge yourself, grade yourself, and be honest. And there were some things that I thought, just to be specific, I think some practice stuff that needed addressed. And I think we did a better job throughout this camp as far as practice schedules go. And, I think, a lot of the stuff in the weight room from a football standpoint, we can always do better. So we're trying to make some changes there. I think the one thing that I was the most proud of in year one was just the way that our kids conducted themselves, win, lose, or draw, and on or off the field. That was something that was important to me. Anytime you're coaching any sport, you're going to have good years and bad years. And I think the one thing that you can really hang your hat on is if you're doing things the right way culturally, and your kids are learning and displaying great character, that's really at the end of the day what you're kind of judged, by. As unbelievable as Coach Yeagley was, it's not like every year we were winning a state championship, but I think the biggest legacy that he left was that, South Range football players act and conduct themselves in a certain way. They're going to play the game the right way. They're going to treat people the right way. And, that's probably what I'm most proud of after year one. I feel like, our kids have done a really good job of kind of stepping up to the plate in that respect.
I mean, you had an incredible group of coaches around you, a lot of them veteran coaches, a lot of them coaches that you coached with in years prior. What were some of the benefits of having that group around you specifically to make sure that, when you had so much to catch up on from a standpoint of X's and O's and being the CEO essentially of South Range football, that they were able to help assist you with that and sometimes take the reins, for you?
Man, I could go on and on. There's so many things that, it's funny. I don't think anybody understands when they look at a program, any program, but, ours specifically, how much those guys do. Everything from, stuff during the week and moving things around and getting things packed up for the game and game planning and meeting. I mean, so many things that they're responsible for, and they have taken off of my plate, which has been, incredibly helpful. One thing that, people probably don't think about a whole lot is just that being that I was already so comfortable with them and they understood that it was my first time doing it. they were so patient with me. And I don't know if I could have done that somewhere else, with anybody else. Just there were things that I knew I dropped the ball on and wasn't doing a great job on. And they were just really understanding and helpful. And, they just never panicked. And, again, they were, I mean, I can't tell you how helpful they were and they continue to be. And it's nice too, being that it's all people that I mean, they're, again, my best friends. If I'm screwing up, they're the first, they can tell me, hey, we got to change this, and they're comfortable saying that. And, there's definitely a mutual respect and the teamwork aspect of it where, they just do a really good job, I think, of picking me up, where I fall short in a lot of ways and working together with me.
All right, let's talk about this year's team. The motto this year is double down, correct?
Yeah, I think so.
Double down. All right. So for you, when you first heard that, what does that mean to you in regards to this year's the class of 2024 South Range Raider football?
Yeah, well, there's kind of an ongoing joke with Aiden Dominguez. Sometimes he'd show up tired, and I'd say, "Hey, we playing cards last night?" So, all those guys are big Texas Hold'em guys, but we were talking in the locker room one day just about things that we can, I think, leverage, to our advantage. And when we were talking about those things, I said, if you have an advantage in something, then double down on it, right? And they kind of all giggled, and I knew why they were giggling because of the cards reference. But no, just there's certain things that I think every program, right? There's certain things that you do well, and certain things that you don't do, well, or that you want to do better. And I guess our idea was just, hey, if there's something that we do well and that sets us apart from everybody else, let's make sure we become, really masters of that. And so I think that's where it came from.
What's incredible to me is probably half a year's gone by since we learned about what division teams are going to be in in the 2024 campaign. Obviously, last year, the last game that the Raiders play is against the soon-to-be state champion Perry Pirates, who are now on YSN.
Yeah,
Perry gets notification that they're going to be D4 this year, and automatically all the eyes turn to the burgundy and gold, and people say, this feels a lot like 2022 with Kirtland. Do you get that same feeling? Does it, I mean, you were in the locker room, you were in the atmosphere when all that stuff kind of happened. How is it different from being the defensive coordinator to the head coach and seeing all the eyes shift to you as one of the sweethearts of Division 5 in the state of Ohio?
Yeah, I think, our goal is to be in the conversation, I think, every year, late in the season. I know it sounds cliche, but right now, I mean, we're trying to get better today and trying to, find a way to get as prepared as we can be for our rivals in week one. There's so many variables, and I think any team that's kind of went the distance knows that the ball has to bounce your way, and you need to have, continue to get better and have great practices. And, that 22 team didn't win a state championship by thinking about or talking about the state championship until it was here. And I think our guys do a good job of just approaching each day in a way that, try to maximize our time together and get as good as we can. I think there is probably, some truth to, you usually see a lot of the same teams that are kind of in the hunt there at the end of the year. Our goal, or I guess my goal, as a program or as a coach, is to try to make sure that, I want our teams to always be in the mix, and you're trying to make your down years as successful as possible, and you're trying to make your good years, maybe championship contender years. And, I don't know how realistic it is every year, but, there's teams out there that do it. You look at Marion Local, you look at Kirtland, Perry's getting to there right now, where, it's a lot of the same guys, year after year. And we're really trying as a program, our goal is to kind of take that next step and turn into a program that's in the mix all the time.
From a week one standpoint, because I know that's all you want to talk about, I'll try to keep prodding you and getting you to talk about the rest of the year. But Springfield, I mean, that's almost a staple on the schedule for the last, I don't even know how long. For you guys to line up against the Tigers week one, there's obviously there's an excitement in the air, a natural excitement because it is football season, but to line up against your rivals in week one, what does that mean to you? Does it give you any extra juice in the tank, so to speak, when you're, playing a team that knows you just as well as you know yourself.
Yeah, and I think there's one huge advantage that goes to both us and Springfield, in that especially during these dog days of camp and summer when guys are, beat up and tired and they're here at the facilities all day long. I think it kind of gives you some light at the end of the tunnel, and you realize, it's really apparent what they're working for. I think it helps when you're playing a rivalry game in week one to really maximize your time in July and August and work in the off season. As soon as we got back in the weight room last winter, it was Springfield week for us. And I think that's kind of an attention getter that really helps, I think, to develop the off season. But no, for sure. I mean, when you take a team, like Springfield, that's really familiar with us and vice versa, I think it challenges your coaching staff to go back, and we're trying to watch films from, all kinds of different games with them over the past couple of years to see what worked for us, what worked for them, and how we can get better. And, you also know it's going to be a really physical game. There's a ton of respect that we have for them. At the same time, that 1 week out of the year when we're not pulling for them, there's some bad blood. It's funny, I coached the Penn Ohio game this year, and we had a group of South Range kids and a group of Springfield kids on the team together. And I think Coach Guerrero said it. It was interesting that every day after practice, we would feed the team and our kids would eat with their kids. So there's a ton of respect there for them as a program. And at the end of the day, it's the same type of kids. We grew up right across the line from each other. And, I know we have a lot of respect for them. They have a lot of respect for us. And we know that it's going to be a well-played football game between two really good teams and two really good programs.
All right, we looked at week one. I've checked the box on that from that standpoint to be able to give that to you. Now you got to give one to me. I looked at the schedule, man. The first 6 weeks were at home, and then the last 4 weeks were away. That's kind of wild. You don't see that in high school. So how does it stack up for those of you who this is breaking news to you? Your senior night's going to be in week 6, essentially.
Yeah.
When do you have homecoming if you never leave?
Yeah, I don't know when the homecoming date is. I probably should know that as a coach, but I think that's just the way it worked out with the schedules. When we're filling the non-league schedules, you kind of have to meet teams halfway to get games. And I know I think Salem and Barberton both preferred to go on the road this year, and then back at their place next year. And it just, we played Springfield forever, so we happened to be, home again with them. And then the way our league schedule set up, so it was kind of crazy the way it worked out, but I know we're excited for it. It kind of makes it nice, actually. We're going on the road for both scrimmages, so just to try to get some semblance of a road trip in before week 7 rolls around.
Yeah, I mean, you had 7 weeks before you have to worry about lighting up the buses. Right. I mean, are there any advantages to that? The home cooking for 6 weeks?
Well, I hope so. Yeah, I don't know. I think our kids love playing at home, and I love coaching at home. I think it's a great atmosphere and a great environment. So, well, if we had it our way, we'd play home 10 times a year. But Mr. Farron did a good job of getting us a bunch of home games to start the year, so we're not complaining. I will say this, it's going to be rough next year going on the road for the first 6, but I think it's nice that you'd hope if you're going to develop momentum, being at home is the place to do it. And hopefully that, with the first 6 games at home, if we can get the ball rolling, maybe we can kind of parlay that or double down into the late season.
Man, Rominger Stadium is going to get some workout that first 6 weeks, and it's beautiful. Love that stadium for so many different reasons. There's colleges that drool at the stadium and the place of work that you get to go every Friday night, my friend.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful, man. It's funny. We were out there the other day for picture day, and I'm looking around, and it was kind of the sun was going down, and I thought, man, this is how lucky are we to have this place and just to have the support that we have. And I have family from out of town that'll come to a game if they're in town, and I talk to people kind of all over the place that, hey, I caught a game at the stadium, I couldn't believe the atmosphere. And the best part, as much as the stadium is amazing and we're so blessed to have it, the best part of the stadium is the people that build it and the people that go in there and watch us play and support us. And we're really lucky that we have the home support that we have, and on the road. I mean, there's times we go to some of our away games, and we've got a bigger crowd there than our opponents do, which is always nice. And I think our kids take a lot of pride in trying to show off for those guys.
It is, and it's a perfect segue to my next question is the community that surrounds South Range. You know, we're not usually we would do this at Giangelo's. This would be our week one on Tuesday, the 20th.
Yeah.
I have some things that are keeping me away. You're doing me a solid by jumping on here now.
Yeah.
But talk about the community. Every single week, they come out in droves and support not only the kids, but the coaching staff. Being able to break bread within literally every person in that community, break bread with them and talk about what is going on this week, what's going on, and more than just X's and O's. It's about the kids, it's about the families. Why is it so important to you to show up week after week with your family, on your, by your side and kind of do that? I mean, yes, contractually obligated through YSN, of course, but for you, you don't have to bring your family. You don't have to necessarily stick around. You're always one of the last ones out of there, and you'll talk to everybody about everything. Why is that so important that you do that?
I mean, for me, I don't feel like it's an obligation. I feel like it's to me, it's merging the best of kind of both the worlds that I live in, where I have my family there, and they're able to spend time with, my second family that I'm with kind of all day long. And we talked about it last year, but, I think the goal for every parent, right, is for their children to become as happy and successful as possible. And what better way to do that than surround them with people that I know to be successful and hardworking and caring and people that I know care about them, and we have so many advantages in terms of, our community support and the types of families. And I think the byproduct of that is the types of kids that we have. And, I don't ever want to lose sight of that or have my children not be around that. So, like I said, to me, it doesn't feel like a job. It feels like this is a great opportunity to better myself and visit with people that I love and to get my family around them and hopefully they pick up something and our kids are great with them. The parents are great with my family and just feel really lucky to be able to spend that time with them.
All right, let's step off the field for our last question. It was like a world full of firsts for you last year. You were in the classroom for the first time for a complete year, teaching, which was awesome to see the progression along the year. Some of the conversations that you and I had, you helped me through a lot of the firsts that we were going through. I'm so grateful for you in that capacity. But some first this summer, as I understand, and I was a part of, you were basically up for an Emmy Award with some of the videography work that you did late in the summer with the NFL flag football. What was that like? And take me through your summer, how it went, and what are some of the highlights of the summer for the Dave Rock?
Yeah, man. Well, yeah, I guess just for the people watching, I'll tell them. So DJ was doing some of the flag football national championships, and he was gracious enough to invite me along to do some streaming. So I was the video guy, and I learned a lot. And I also, the number one thing I probably learned was that I'm not great at taking video of things. But
dude, to shoot the Goodyear blimp, that was.
I'll tell you what, I tried to do the best I could with just getting as many cool shots as I could. And it's funny, like, you guys, you don't realize how much goes into all of the production behind the scenes stuff until you're one of the guys back there. And I thought, man, I can't imagine doing this, like year round or whatever, like you guys do, but really cool experience for me. I'll be honest with you, it was the first time I've ever been to a flag football game or tournament. And I was just blown away by the number of people that were there and the excitement around it. And I thought it was really cool just to see how many young kids were involved, with it. Actually, we got my son David signed up, so he starts flag. I think sometime in September is his first practice, and that's been really cool for me. He actually wanted to go outside and practice a couple nights ago, so we're out there learning how to catch and learn how to throw and how to run routes. So that's been exciting. I actually gave Geneva a bloody lip the other day trying to throw her a ball, and it caught her in the lip. So, but she was tough about it. But yeah, no, it was crazy. Definitely not up for any Emmy awards. Embarrassingly enough, I didn't even know what an Emmy was for. So I guess that's for filming something.
We don't do it for the awards, buddy. We don't do it for the awards.
I was just trying to get the not get fired is what I was trying to do. Yeah.
You did awesome. You did, dude. The highlight of that whole thing was the champion. I forget what championship game it was, but you shooting the Goodyear blimp and panning down on the field.
We were going outside the box there. I started feeling pretty fast and loose with the streaming the last day, but I got to tell that for the people listening, DJ 9 games was it the last day?
Dude, yeah.
He was live commentating 9 straight flag football games from teams all over the country the last day, and it's 95 degrees out there and in the heat and everything else, and my man just kept rolling right through it. So I can't imagine having to do one of those as a commentary guy, but you did a great job with it. So that was fun, man. It was a blast.
I was only as good as the Emmy Award-winning videographer that was along with me. I'm talking. You're behind me. You had the what do you call those? The gimbals.
A gimbal or a gable?
Yeah, the gimbal. You were full use of the studio with the gimbal. I was very impressed. Well, other than our extravaganza towards the end of the summer, what good things did you have come out of this summer for you?
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Just spending as much time as I can with my family. My wife Julia is a teacher, but her summer is a little bit different, so it doesn't overlap as much. But we weren't able to go on vacation just because of the way her schedule and my schedule fell. But we spent a lot of time over at my family's pool and got to visit with the family as much as possible, and been able to see my brother and his kids a little bit more than what I used to be able to see them, or at least during the school year. So that's been cool. And now the kids and all the cousins are getting older. My cousins from the Carolinas came into town, so had a great week around the pool with them, and then just spending time with my players and with the coaches.
Dave Rock, week 1, cross it off the board, buddy. As always, you did a hell of a job. Thank you so much for your time. Appreciate you. Good luck in your scrimmage tonight, and we will see you. Well, yeah, you get a week off from me, and then we will see you. You'll see me. There's no doubt about that. But thank you so much. Appreciate you. Talk to you soon, brother.
Appreciate you, man. Go Raiders.